Welcome to Fully Expressed. I'm Carla, your guide and host to living your life in your fullest expression. The more expressed we are, the more genuine and honest we are with ourselves and others around us, and the less likely we are to feel unsatisfied or unfulfilled with our lives. So it's time to stop hiding and finally overcome your fears around showing up and being seen and heard as the real you. Hello, my beautiful souls. How are you? So it has been a little while in between episodes, and it is because I've taken some time off recently to heal. And before I get into that story and more of today's episode, I firstly want to just share and acknowledge that this is the 50th episode of Fully Expressed. So I want to express my deepest and sincerest gratitude to you for tuning in and for listening to what I have to share, my experiences, my stories, and any wisdom or teachings that come through as a result of me sharing my voice and sharing my truth. Fully Expressed has always been about a journey of being in my fullest expression and consequently giving you permission to be in your fullest expression as well. So being able to speak up when you need to. So I want to share a little bit about what's been happening and more about what's going to happen later on in the episode. But I feel like the last couple of weeks, definitely the last 2 weeks, have been really heavy for me personally, but also the months previous. I think November was a really big month. Not only a lot going on, like I had a lot of events and a lot of festivals, but I also had a lot of healing that started to compound, and only really all just landed quite recently when I took some time off to have a tooth removed. So I have had issues. I've had dental issues with one of my big sort of molar chewing teeth, and I have had multiple sessions with a root canal, trying to get the root canal fixed, but it's been sort of an ongoing journey for almost 2 years now, and I was facing the option of either taking the tooth out and removing it, or just putting up with the pain and sticking a crown on the top and pretending like everything is okay, which is what the old Carla would do. She would always avoid pain. She would do anything to escape it and not confront it, not feel it. That is part of my trauma response that I created as a young girl. I'll get into that in a little bit. So I had this tooth extracted. I actually made the decision, and the decision didn't come lightly. I sat with this decision for probably about 6 months because I was really, I guess, afraid to have a tooth removed, other than your wisdom teeth, because you don't really need them. And I guess I was really just afraid of what it meant to take a tooth out. Like I always just thought, that only happens to older people, when they lose their teeth. I know that's sad, and I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but it was just something I hadn't really grasped the concept of or accepted. I hadn't accepted it. So it came to me one night because I've been having sort of numbness and tingles in my face, a little bit of pain when I put pressure on my tooth. And one early morning, I think it was around the new moon, because I'm always up early in the new moon, I just had this like 100% certainty come in and wash over me and tell me that I need to take this tooth out. And I was like, okay, I'm taking my tooth out. I'm getting it removed. So I made an appointment to have it removed, and that was 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago. And it was a very painful and excruciating process. Most of the tooth came out, but a real little tiny bit on the end of the root of the tooth got stuck in my jawbone, or wherever the tooth sits. Sorry, my words are a little bit hard at the moment. So yeah, a little bit of the tooth got stuck, and it was this grueling process of trying to dig this little piece out and remove it. And it just didn't want to come out. And because I think they were so close to where the tooth was sitting on my jaw, even though I had been numbed up with anaesthetic, I could still feel everything they were doing. And I had this moment where I was holding on to the sides of the chair like I was really tense. And I had to just tell myself, it's okay to let it go. It's okay to release this tooth. And I had to call on my spirit guides and my archangels to actually come in and assist me, because I think a part of me was wanting to hold on, and that was creating a little bit of resistance. And not only physically, but mentally as well in my mind, I think I was deeply uncomfortable. And yeah, as soon as I did that, a little piece of tooth came out, and it was instant relief and like an instant weight off my shoulders. Obviously, I couldn't feel all of the pain, but I was just relieved that it was over. So the healing process, for me has been quite painful. I have only just started to be able to drink hot liquids, and I am a chai tea fanatic. So I've actually been really surprised at how well I have coped without having a hot cup of tea every day. But I have noticed this shift in my ability now to be able to make decisions that nurture my body and that allow me to feel good about my body and to feel healthy, because of my past and my wounding, which was based around me having a disconnection from my body. My wounding is about being disconnected from my body, not being in my body, and not being able to process pain. I would always do anything I could to avoid pain. And so on the first day, which was really painful after the anaesthetic wore off, I was prescribed some heavy painkillers, So I took a few painkillers. I was on a few other different tablets as well, antibiotics and something else I can't remember. But I had a almost mini near-death experience, and it may have felt worse than what it was, but it was almost as if I was feeling every sort of pain for the first time. I was feeling it really intensely, and I woke up early morning the following day just in agony. I had really sharp stabbing pains in my stomach. I felt like I couldn't breathe, and like my heart, my chest was really tight. So I spent a few hours like that, in and out of the shower. The shower was the only thing that made me feel better. The shower and ice packs. But what I learned from that lesson is don't mix or take too many painkillers, or know what you're taking, know what you're putting into your body. But B, not the right decision for me is not always about masking my pain. And I got rid of the heavy painkillers and just stuck to Nurofen, and just really nurtured my body with natural remedies, a lot of ginger, a lot of garlic, a lot of salt water and orange juice, it made me drink a lot more water. So I started to create a lot more nurturing rituals around restoring my body, restoring nutrients to my body, and really looking after my body. And this is something I haven't always done, because I have probably had this, what would you call it, almost like a love-hate relationship with my body, because I would do anything to escape pain. So I would drink excessively to numb myself. I would never really eat or sort of nourish my body with the right nutrients. And I always thought that it didn't matter how I treated my body, it would always just keep going. And this stemmed from a wounding or a trauma response that I had created when I was a little girl. So just quickly, I'll share, when I was 3 years old, when I was a little girl, a little toddler, I had been diagnosed with leukemia. So from the ages of 3 to 8, I had leukemia, and my memories and my recollections of it don't have any signs of pain in them at all. And I know that's not true, because I've spoken to my parents and some of my family members about that time, and as you can imagine, it would be terrifying for a parent to go through that process and watch their child suffer and in pain, and make decisions for their better health. But my recollection is very different. It just was a time of fun. I created this story up to cover the pain, and it was like a mini holiday. I spent, the time that I spent in hospital over the years was almost like, that was my home, home away from home, and it was a fun time. But I know that's not the case. So this cover, I want to call it, was created, and I disconnected from my body in order to not be able to feel the pain, not have to process the pain of that experience. And so as I got older, I continued to carry this cover with me into my adult life. And my response was always to cover up the pain and sometimes cover up the truth, because it started to make me into something that I wasn't. It made me not be able to connect to my feelings or my emotions or understand them. And for many years I suppressed everything, because that's what you do. You just bury it deep down inside you and forget about it. But obviously the body doesn't forget anything. The body keeps score of every little feeling and painful experience that we have in our lives. And I used to drink a lot to cover up the pain and pretend that I was having fun and I was okay, but also to be liked and accepted, because I thought that if I was that version of myself, I would be more fun and people would like me. So I've carried this story with me for about 35 years, and I realised recently, in the last couple of months, the work that I've been doing a lot of releasing in the last few weeks. Most definitely been releasing a lot of past life stuff, which is very relevant to my voice and my expression and sharing my truth, but also about releasing attachment in general, because we become so attached to a certain story that we tell ourselves. We then start to believe this story, and that creates our reality, that creates our patterns and our behaviors and our reactions. So having this tooth pulled out was a deeply physical experience, and it was a learning and awakening process for my body, for me to connect and, more importantly, to really trust my body, to trust that my body has the wisdom for me to be able to make choices that are for my greater good. So that is where I am currently at. I'm just allowing this all to land, and I think it will continue to land. But the connection story, connection versus disconnection, is something that we all have. We all have a feeling of disconnection, and perhaps it is that we just aren't aware of it, because you're not aware of it until something physical happens to you, or you have an experience, a healing experience, where you might be at a retreat, or you might be in a healing session with someone, and someone says something, and it kind of, you have this self-realization about, oh, that's why, I do this, or that's why I feel like this. So disconnection it can manifest in so many ways. It can manifest as stress, as anxiety, as fear, as illness. It can manifest into mental health issues. I know I certainly suffered depression when I was disconnected from my body and disconnected from myself. And it just means that you are not really you, because if you are not connected to yourself, mind, body, and soul, then you're not really you. You're just almost like an avatar of you that keeps playing along, but the programs are not all online. So you are not being true to yourself without having that deep sense of self-connection. And through self-connection comes love, comes self-love, acceptance, compassion, and forgiveness. And these are so, so important, because a lot of the time when we are disconnected from ourselves, we are constantly searching outside of ourselves for these things. We are searching outside of ourselves for connection, for love, for validation, for acceptance. And I've shared a little bit about my story, and that is certainly the case. Particularly around love, I always used to seek out love externally from male partners to make me feel good. But then after that exchange or relationship had finished, I would feel worse than before. And that is because I was still disconnected from myself. I needed something from myself. I needed to love myself. And loving yourself is something that happens when you have a deep sense of connection, but also an understanding of who you are. Who you are on the inside, who you are underneath all of your masks and your wounds and your covers and your stories that are playing out. Who you are that you feel like you have to put on a cover, or you have to dull yourself down, or maybe you are afraid to express your voice, or to be able to openly share your struggles and your fears and your emotions and your frustrations, whatever that is for you. It can really come down to you doing a deep dive and a rediscovery of yourself. And this is what I love doing. So if you are interested in diving deeper into understanding who you are at your core essence of your very being, underneath all of these conditions and emotions and stories and beliefs and wounds and blah, 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 underneath everything is this beautifully sensual and divine being that you are. And once you're able to work through some of the layers that we put on, once you're able to take off some of these layers, then you can start to feel more deeply connected to yourself and really come home to your soul, come home to your heart and to your body, particularly in my case. So on that note, I am going to be launching a new offer, a very exclusive and personal offer that I am excited to share with you. It's called The Empowered Soul, and it is a one-on-one healing and coaching program that is going to take us through, I think, maybe 8 or 9 steps of self-discovery. It is a blueprint that I created for one of my retreats that I have previously run and had great success with. And I have had the download and the little nudge to be able to deliver this to you, be able to deliver it to women who are ready to break out of the mold that they've been in, that's been not serving them, and really start to break up with these stories and these old beliefs that are created from the past, so you can step into your most beautiful and empowered soul. So if that's something that you are interested in, if you want to work with me in a one-on-one capacity over about 2 to 3 months, then I invite you to get in contact with me, and I can add you to the exclusive Earlybird waiting list, where you will receive a discount, discount off the total price, and I can send you all of the details and payment plans that are available. I want to talk a little bit about the energies that are happening at the moment. We are just about to move into a really powerful and potent time of the year, and I feel like we are already in it. We are about to shift a lot of energy, and we're about to release anything that is no longer serving you, is no longer in alignment with who you are or who you are becoming in 2025. So I really just want to spend a little bit of time talking about that. We're about to move into the solstice energy tomorrow, and I know how powerful this energy is because it was 5 years ago, I think 5 years ago, 2020, end of 2020, that's 4 years ago, is when I started my biggest life-changing experience and awakening process by doing a program, a healing program over the solstice. So now is a really good time to start to think about what you want your year to look like, what you want your year to feel like. So I want you firstly to reflect on what this year has meant for you, what has happened in 2024 that you are proud of yourself for. How are you grateful? How are you showing your gratitude for the year that has been? And it has been a big year for some of us, I know. But next year is going to be even bigger. So this is why it's important to start to slow down, to reconnect, and to really make sure that you are making time for yourself, making time to connect to yourself and really to care for yourself and to nurture yourself. I know a lot of you have young children, and that is a large part of your responsibility of a parent. But I want you to think about how you can parent yourself and how you can parent that little version of you, that inner child, that inner woman or inner person, how you can start to reparent that person more. Because all of these things and these symptoms of disconnection that we've been talking about is all relevant to things that have happened or things that we've experienced most likely in our childhood and then have consequently increased in our adult lives or our current lives. So being able to reparent your inner child will allow you to understand what you needed in a time of need when you were young that you now need to be able to give to yourself. Because if there's something lacking, which is essentially what disconnection is, you're lacking that connection because a need might not be met to allow you to have connection, or you didn't feel connection when you were a young child. Whatever your story is. So asking yourself, how can I reparent my little child, you as a little child, as a young child, and what are you releasing for 2024? What are you releasing for 2024? What are you releasing with love and kindness and compassion? And as you are releasing something, perhaps there is also a experience or maybe an action or a mistake or something that's happened to you this year, or something that you've just been experiencing, and think about how you can forgive yourself for that experience. How can you forgive yourself? What is something that you need to forgive yourself for? It could be around, let's say, okay, I'll use myself as an example. I forgive myself for not listening to my body, for disconnecting from my body, and for not being able to trust my body and the wisdom that it has to show me and teach me. So something like that. I can really feel that as I said that. So your words are spells. So when you say something out loud, you are helping that to physically release from your body. And of course, there are the somatics around that we also need to be able to feel as well. So this is something that we're going to be diving into in the Empowered Soul. We're going to be doing a lot on forgiveness work, and I'm going to share with you a process that I use and have used at my retreats that allows you to let go and forgive yourself. So that's a really important part of this work, and of being able to create more space in your body, in your energetic capacity, for you to be able to receive. And that is the most beautiful segue, because the next part is all about receiving. But to be able to receive, we first need to release. So receiving and releasing always goes hand in hand, and the releasing needs to happen first before you are able to receive or call in what it is that you are desiring. So I think I'm still releasing through my throat, so it's not quite clear. But so I've forgiven myself, and now it is about starting to think about what you are wanting to create. What are you wanting? What is something that you are wanting to change? And this can be about yourself, it can be about your life, it can be about your relationships. something that you are wanting to change, or maybe change isn't the right word, maybe it's better. Maybe not the right word. Find a word that works for you. What is something that you are wanting to create? That's a good word. That's a positive word. So think about it. Think about it as something new that you are wanting to create. It could be that you are wanting to create a deeper self-connection. You are wanting to, you're wanting to create a more spiritual connection. You're wanting to create more time to be able to heal or learn, or whatever it is that you are wanting to do. So maybe it's you want to spend more time with your family, and that means that you need to carve out time or say no to some things that you have normally been doing this year. So thinking about what is it that you want to create moving forward for 2025. And once you know what it is that you're wanting to create, asking yourself, what do I need to be able to create this? And keep it really simple, just maybe 3 things that you need to be able to create this. Maybe it's more time, more money, more opportunity, more time in nature, more connection, more holidays, more retreats, more programs or events. Start going to things that you normally wouldn't go. And once you've got these, you can start to become clear on what it is or who you want to create or who you want to be. I mean, you be you, but what it is that you need to be able to create these changes in your life. Yeah. I think that's it. That's it that's coming through. There was something else that was coming through, but I just need a little bit of certainty. So a little recap, and maybe that will spark what I forgot. A little recap for the end of the year. We have got a week and a bit to go for 2024. So in that time, really focusing on what you are celebrating or what you're proud of yourself for achieving or doing or taking action on or healing. What are you releasing? What are you letting go of? What are you surrendering? What are you forgiving yourself for with love and compassion to allow you to let go, to release, create space? And what are you wanting to create for 2025? So those are the prompts that I would love you to answer, and this will create your framework for 2025, because planting your intentions now with the powerful energy of the summer solstice here in Australia. The energy of the solstice is the most powerful time for deep shifts, deep transformations, and for you to be able to make choices that will honour your soul and honour yourself. So it is a really, really wonderful and beautiful time to get some clarity. Get some clarity around these prompts that I've just shared with you, and start to plant your seeds of intention for 2025. And I just want to really wish you the most amazing holiday season, and really be aware of practicing gratitude and being grateful for everything that you currently have in your life. The small things always matter the most. And really just take this time to slow down, spend time with your loved ones and with yourself as well. And I am so excited to continue this podcast in 2025 and to be able to connect more with you. And please know that you are always welcome to get in contact with me. I am a connector and a creator, and I love to connect with people, particularly in person, but also online. So even if you want to reach out and just have a chat, if there's something that you are struggling with in your life, whether it is disconnection or fear or inner child work, please feel free to reach out and just have a chat. Having a deep and meaningful, soulful chat is my favourite activity. So I am sending you so much love, so much light, and so much wisdom for 2025.